like coming back onto like the technicals of what a node is. If you don't have a node, then you're using someone else's every time that you receive Bitcoin, that you send the Bitcoin, and that you check your wallet balance. So the reason why is because a node acts as a way for you to see what the current state of the blockchain is, the transactions that are waiting to be confirmed, and the transactions that have already been confirmed in the blockchain since the beginning, since 2009. So why is this important? Well, if you're using someone else's node, that means that they can see the transactions that you're doing. Now, as we go back and understand the blockchain, you know that your addresses that you're using are not necessarily linked to you as a person. But there are ways, if someone can see your IP address that your address is coming from, your Bitcoin address is coming from, they could, if they know where you live and see the IP address, they could, in a way, link you to that Bitcoin address. Right now, this would take a lot of work. There might not be any benefit to someone doing that. But either way, people set up nodes for two reasons. Number one, privacy. So it removes all of the liability that we just talked about, where someone can see your transactions that you're broadcasting to the network. But number two, it gives you a vote in the system. So when a Bitcoin improvement proposal is proposed, or it is, it's displayed and communicated to the rest of the people on the blockchain, you can decide to upgrade or update your node to that new software, including the new information that someone has proposed, or you can decide to stay on the old version. This gives you a vote. So 51% of the nodes on the network need to update to that new software in order for that proposal to go through. And this could take time. And having your own node gives you that vote in the system, so that 51% is much harder to achieve, right? If we only had a few nodes in the network, then 51%, let's say we had 5 nodes, you would only need 3 of those nodes to vote to make changes to Bitcoin. If we get more and more nodes online, the 51% of all of those nodes becomes a lot harder. You have to convince a lot more people, meaning that your proposal to change something in Bitcoin has to really have a lot of value. So if we go a little bit further as to how to set up a node, right? What kind of hardware do I need? A lot of people ask me, do I need another piece of hardware? Can I just run it on my own computer that I use day to day? And my answer and recommendation is no, you should not use your day-to-day computer. The reason why is, in order for a node to actually be valuable to you and give you the state of the Bitcoin blockchain on a regular basis, it should be on 24/7 and connected to Wi-Fi 24/7, just like your Wi-Fi router. If you turned your Wi-Fi router on and off every time that you wanted to connect to Wi-Fi on and off, it would be really annoying. Same with a Bitcoin node. If you wanted to send the transaction, and then in order to do so, you have to turn on a node and then wait for the blocks to sync, catch up to the current state of the blockchain, it would be really inefficient. So the best thing to do is leave it behind, or not leave it behind, but leave it in a corner, just like you would with your Wi-Fi router, so it's always on and is always giving you the current state of the Bitcoin blockchain. You can do this with a mini PC, which will cost you $150 to $200 on Amazon or even Facebook Marketplace. It's really easy to get. And everything else that comes after that is totally your choice. So there's many softwares out there that allow you to run a Bitcoin node. I use one that's called Start9 because it's open source and I can plug it into any computer. There's a few steps of configuration, and this is why a lot of people don't do it, because it doesn't necessarily increase your Bitcoin security but it does increase your Bitcoin privacy. So a lot of people will focus on the security aspect of Bitcoin and just get the hardware wallet, but they won't focus on the security aspect and run a node. So yeah, I think that's a good summary of what a node is and how to go about getting one set up. Do you need one? The reality is not really, but it is always recommended that you look into it, right? I would never recommend it for people that travel all the time, like nomads that are not situated in one place at all times, because that means that they would have to reset up a node every time they go to a new country, a new place. If you're staying in one place, it might be of benefit to you to look into it. So the only reason that I say it's not recommendable for people that travel all the time is because the people that travel all the time will normally not come back to the place where they left from. So, for example, if I'm going from Canada to then Argentina to then Colombia to then Chile, and I set up a node back in Canada, well, I would have to come back to Canada to make any changes, any updates, see what's going on with my node. I would have to go back physically. If you're going on vacation, it's totally fine. Wallet software, so Sparrow or whatever other wallet software you're using, connects to your node via Wi-Fi, and that information stays on forever. As long as your node stays on, again, like your Wi-Fi router, you will have connection to your Bitcoin node. I didn't have a lot of time to troubleshoot and see what was going wrong with the setup of the node, but this is what I mean. This is why it's kind of a barrier or a hurdle to a lot of people setting up a node, is because if you're doing it yourself and you've never gone through the process, you're going to encounter problems that you might not know how to solve. You're in the phase where you want to accumulate more Bitcoin and secure it properly. Once you feel comfortable with your security, which if you do, then you can move on to building your own node. But if you don't, then you're still stacking and you're still figuring things out with the Bitcoin and keeping it safe. Then you should focus on that first before setting up a node. Or battery operated. So I charge my laptop, I use it, I let it deplete, and then I charge it again, right? As soon as you plug in a laptop, the battery aspect degrades a lot faster. So that's why PCs, like mini ones, they're super slim, super small, are better for things that are going to be plugged in all the time. A mini PC is do you remember those towers? Like they would be towers and they would be PCs. They've made them much smaller. So they're like super thin and they're pretty small. But they're still PCs. They just don't have a screen. They don't have a keyboard. They don't have anything. So you can get a keyboard and you can get a monitor to connect to it and then use it just for the setup, because afterwards you don't have to connect to it anymore. Once it's set up, you connect to it with another device, with a laptop or with your phone, whatever.